Hello, this is Dano from the future. We get right to spoilers for the game, which I mean, you're probably not surprised, but if you haven't finished Act 1 yet and you don't want to be spoiled for Act 1, go finish Act 1 and then come back. If you don't care, we'll listen to Squelch. Here we go.
Squelch, 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 squelch.
Welcome back to Squelch, the video game book club. I'm Dano.
I'm Matt at Arms.
And I'm sad because this week's sad. I'm also Storm Rage, and we're here to remind everybody that Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a game, and games are supposed to be fun. And this week, Expedition 33 maybe took that one and was like, what if it wasn't just fun? What if we made you cry? What if that thing that Daniel talked explicitly about how much he enjoyed last week, while Dano sat there stone-faced, knowing what was to come, maybe we just made Daniel sad. Maybe that's what we do this week.
I was like, this is going to be so good next week.
Oh, wow. What a shot to the gut. Oh, God.
So that was the thing that was spoiled for me in the message, the post on the random post on the merchant, what does this merchant goods have? And it was RIP, and I was like, oh, what? And so I didn't know when it happened, but when that scene happened, I was like, oh, I think this is when it happens. So,
Yep.
I am curious. So I do have a theory that either A, he comes back in some capacity, or B, in New Game Plus, there are expanded skill trees. Or C, it is the best, fake out of a video game of all time where they gave him a bunch of,
skills that you couldn't ever
skills
get.
You can't ever open. So it's one of those three things, because he has, dear listener, if you're not playing the game, all of the other characters have skill trees that are 90% unlocked right at the very beginning of the game. Not unlocked, but visible. You can go and see what they are, and you can plan out. Gustav only had 9 skills available that you can open. And by the time you get to the end of Act 1, you've unlocked all of Gustav's skills. So you knew something was up with Gustav, because why would his skills all be locked up where you can't see them if something wasn't going to happen? It didn't make a lot of sense. So something was going on there. And so now I'm either thinking maybe he's able to come back in some capacity, and then because he's a Gustav, whatever, gestural Gustav, you have access to more skills or something. I don't know. Or maybe in New Game Plus, they unlock a bunch of other stuff in New Game Plus. I don't know. So I'm excited about it though, to find out what happens, or it was just a super cool fake out.
The listener who finished last episode let this one autoplay, and before they were able to hit the pause button to play through this week is that's what happens?
Sorry. Well, maybe I should make a note and say fast forward X amount forward.
Well, I don't think that you could fast forward, because it's just going to be the entire time. It's just
no, you're right.
Just a pre-show. Spoilers. Hey, we start off with the spoilers pretty quick here.
Could do that. A pre-intro. That's what I just called it.
Perfect.
Maybe I won't.
Sausage.
Who knows? It'll be fun for everyone to find out together.
I like that.
All right, this week we are getting right into Stonewall Cliffs, which is where some fun things happen. Then we go on to the Forgotten Battlefield, and then Monoco's Station. Next week we visit Old Lumire, Visages. I don't know. It's French, so that, and then also Sirene, and that one I haven't done yet. I don't know how to pronounce it whatsoever, but I believe those 3 things. Keep an eye on Discord if those last 2 are too short to fill out an episode, and we might add one more thing to it. But that's probably the plan next week. Old Lumire is long, so it might actually work out that we have Old Lumire that is long, Visages. I think it's probably Visages. I'm not sure though.
That's how I've typically pronounced it, but it could be. But they maybe pronounce it extra French.
They
Who's
French
to say?
it, right? Though, like things get French, and all because I'm pretty sure, like I thought it was Visage as well, and then they said it like Visage or something like that, and so
that feels like something this game would do.
100%.
So it could be Serene, or it could be Sirene.
It could be anything. I haven't got there
Sirene.
yet.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the plan for next week. Let's go ahead into objections. Someone has an objection.
Objection! 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 Objection!
19.
Yep.
Daniel, I believe you're the one with the objection. If you would like to begin, which I can't imagine why you would have one. I think last week's episode was perfect, and we didn't bully you in any way, shape, or form, so a bit confused on this one, but go ahead.
Yeah, so Matt, I'm going to ask you a hypothetical question, Matt. So
Sure.
Let's say hypothetically, last week, Matt, let's say hypothetically you were critical of someone who, you know, maybe does all the editing of the podcast and then like 3% of the time changes the episode title, and they changed the episode title, something that they thought what you said was very funny, and then you complained about it. And then let's say hypothetically, then you also then didn't upload your audio at all until like 10 o'clock at night. So the person that does the editing couldn't do the editing until 9 o'clock on Tuesday, right before bed. Hypothetically, what would you think about that, Matt, hypothetically?
I'd be mildly upset. I'd be like, it's like, come on, man. We're cool, though. That's
weird. What an interesting hypothetical you've painted, Dano. I'm glad it's just a hypothetical, and I definitely didn't forget, and I definitely didn't forget twice, and I definitely didn't forget a third time. So I'm glad that we get to live in this fun fantasy world for a little bit.
So let me paint a picture for you all. Paint a picture of someone who gets home from work and is like, oh, I'm going to get this podcast edited and get it out so that I can make dinner and, get to, time for some family, and then sit down and they download Matt's audio and throw it into Audacity. Then go looking for Storm Rage's audio.
Hey, at least it's good this week.
It's not there. And then, hey, Storm Rage, did you forget to upload your audio? No big deal. Oh, Storm Rage. Yes, I did. Oh, my bad. I'll get it up in an hour. No big deal. 2.5 hours later.
No.
Hey, Storm Rage, is
that
everything
is not what
okay?
I said.
Did you make it home all right?
What I said was, I'm currently at work. When I get home, I'll upload it. It'll be in a little over an hour.
I mean, 2.5 hours is a little over an hour.
It wasn't actually 2.5 hours. It was like 2 hours, but I was. It kind of tickled my funny bone. I'm not gonna lie. Go thank some patrons.
But everything else was perfect.
I am pretty incredible.
Thanks.
Hey, patrons and Twitch subs, thank you so much for your support. You keep this podcast ticking. If you want to support the show, head over to twitch.tv/DanoPlay or patreon.com/Squelch. Your support as a listener or as a patron, we love you all and really do truly thank you for being part of our community and for listening to the show. So thank you very, very, very much. We truly appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Also, to be clear, I'm just checking timestamps here. I said it's 6:15. I'll upload it in a little over an hour. and I uploaded it by around 7:55. That's a little over an hour. That's under 2. I think I'm in the clear.
This one's a real page turner.
All right, let's hop right into the cast of characters. Do you want to take that first one for us there, Storm Rage?
Yeah, Gustav is a perfect character that, despite having a rough start and had moments where I thought, wow, I don't know if I like this character, finally pulled me around. Finally made me go, oh, okay, big fan of this character. Big fan of this character. That's not to preview anything that is to come. Gustav is the de facto leader who never wanted to be the leader of the expedition. He froze up on the beach when the expedition was attacked by the white-haired man. He was left for dead and woke up alone until Lumire found him. And he has a magical prosthetic arm that is made by his apprentices, which is also serves as a Lumina converter. And his apprentices are all 11 years old. My co-hosts have given me faces. Am I wrong in that?
No.
Okay.
No, you're good.
Okay.
No, not at all. Sorry if I was giving you a face. Next up, we have Mael. She is 16 and volunteers to join the expedition because she didn't really feel like Lumire was her home. Gustav is her guardian and very much a father and or brother figure in her life. Basically, the most important person in her life was Gustav, who took her in when nobody else would because she was a bit of a troublemaker. Then we have Lune.
Why'd you say was, Dano?
What?
Why'd you say was?
Is
Why'd you say
a
he
bit
was?
of a troublemaker.
And Mael is still, yes, he's talking about Mael.
I meant Mael in before they left for the continent was a troublemaker in the
Yes.
city and would run away. And so every family she ended up in, she would But once Gustav and his sister took her in, then they were all weird together, she said, which I thought was really sweet. Then we have Lune, the brains of the operation. She loves discovering new things and learning things that they all thought were myths that are actually real. Real, not real, real.
Real.
And then we have Ciel. Ciel is the champion of the Gestrals who would have been fine spending her last year as a champion if the main story had never arrived. She used to be a farmer and then joined the expedition. She talks to the stars.
Then, on the other side of things, some of the non-playable characters that we've had so far, we have the white-haired man. He's an old man, which is unique because no one should be over the age of 33. And he killed almost all of the expedition the moment they landed. He seems super important, but we know very little, if anything, about him up until this episode where we learn a little bit more. We also have the Paintress. She causes and has created the gommage, which turns everyone over a certain age, which in this case is 33, into rose petals. She can also seemingly create life, and has created much of the island that we are on. Then there's Esquier. He's the best, goodest boy. He's a big ol' balloon that floats and swims and talks. He is simply the best, and he also gives great hugs.
Yeah, it's completely factual.
For those who come after.
For those who come after, indeed, and that specific clip will certainly not make me very mad for the rest of the show where we cover this game. Let us pick up where we left off. We are headed to Stonewall Cliffs. We are headed that way so that we can find Esquier's rock, Flory. With his rock, he says he will definitely be able to swim across the ocean. We enter into the cliffs, and immediately we see Esquier fly into a massive Nevron and one hit kill it. Just immediately poofs, and the Nevron's gone. What a delightful little weirdo of being somehow the most powerful creature on the island, is what some people have said about him, and also a hug machine. Boy, do I want to give Esquier all of the possible hugs.
Mm-hmm.
We find a couple of journals from previous expeditions at the cliffs. We also find a statue that is dedicated to the Paintress. Gustav finds it insane to pray to, but someone, and I think it's either Ciel or Lune, mentions that during times of apocalypse, if nothing else works, sometimes people turn to the insane. If you know that this thing has killed you every single year and there's been no success against it, maybe if you pray to it, maybe that will work. After fighting through a bunch of guys, just so much, there's a lot of very interesting mechanics here that are not interesting plot-wise, so we're going to kind of skip to basically the end of the cave where a lot of interesting things happen. But this section's very long. It took me about probably 2 hours to get through. We eventually fall upon a cave that is full of lanterns. Gustav mentions that Flori must be nearby, and with lanterns, Flori nearby, and boss lighting, it sure feels like a boss fight's coming up, and you would be correct. Dano.
Could we talk for just a second at how cool this moment is? As we walk through this sort of narrow hallway, there are lanterns on both sides.
Ding!
And they
Ding,
just like,
ding,
as you
ding,
walk
ding.
by each of them, they go ding, 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 ding. And they light up.
They
This
light up.
super dark cave
Oh.
all of a sudden becomes just bright with all these like lantern light. It's a very,
awesome.
very cool scene.
Yes. Everything about this up until the post-fight, incredible. Simply incredible. Like the
Including the
build
fight.
up to it, the amount of like lanterns around it, the way that the zone tells a story and that story is kind of finished here. Excellent. Simply excellent. So, we get to the boss fight itself. The boss is a very large Nevron that has 5 hands in its central area. Basically, its face is made of hands. There's just a bunch of hands where his face should be. He also has 4 lanterns. There are 3 on kind of the top, so on his shoulders, 1 kind of in the central area, and then 1 down below. And then he has a massive staff. This is the Lamp Master. After the first fight of the phase, it's pretty interesting, but not too difficult. And then all of a sudden, boom, second phase of the fight. You have to beat him a second time. And I figured we'd stop here for a moment to talk about the mechanics of how did this fight go for you? What aspects did you find interesting? Matt, you had your hand. We'll start with you.
Yeah. So initially I just tried tanking it and just hitting the center of it with whatever I could. And then I realized, wait, what if I shoot the lanterns? And all of a sudden the lantern's going to get shot out, and that's a ton of damage. Makes it reasonably easy. And then there's a great cutscene in between phases where I think Mael says, "Oh, that was easy." You know,
Yep.
I was like,
Yep.
Yep, she
and
sure
then
does.
Gustav's like, "Don't say that. Please don't say that." And then all of a sudden, phase 2 happens, and phase 2 was a lot of fun too. Dan, you want to take it from here? Or?
So as far as how it went for me, I was terrified of the lanterns, and so I was like shooting them out every time they got relit, and I was like, this is super tedious, and I really don't like how tedious this is, but I also don't dare not let those lanterns stay lit, and so I was always shooting those lanterns out. I don't remember what the second phase of the fight was. Was it just more of the same, or was there...
No.
Mm-mm.
So
No.
first phase, I want to talk about how I did the first phase, because the first time I ran through it, I ended up pretty low at the end of the fight, and I was like, interesting. I ended up resetting it. I couldn't finish the fight the first time that I played it because I had to go to bed. And I did what you guys did. I shut down the lanterns every time they popped up. And then I just got really good at parrying the lanterns because there's a very specific audio cue of when to parry. And I was like, oh, okay. So instead of lighting them out and kind of wasting that AP, I just let them stay, and then I parried. So I basically used them to farm AP. So then that first fight was admittedly more risk, more reward, but I blazed through that first phase. And then the second phase, the lanterns, instead of shooting out like a little sphere of light that you have to dodge or parry, instead they sing a song. And it's like it's each lantern will light up once. And then if you free attack the lanterns in the correct order, 1, you deal damage, 2, you get refunded any AP that are used in the correct spot, and 3, it deals like 800 damage if you do all 4 of them in the correct order, and it stops his next attack.
Yeah, it
So
stuns
if
him.
you follow the lantern order, second phase of the fight, super easy.
Yeah. It's like Simon, where it's like a 4-button Simon, right? Like boop 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 boop, like that,
Yeah.
and like you just
Yep.
you hit and you just repeat it, and it does the thing. It's great.
I did not know that was happening whatsoever. I just kept shooting out the lanterns and then dealing damage. Yeah, I don't, it was tedious, but I got through it in one go. Yeah, I didn't pay attention. I didn't see any of that. Nope, I just would shoot the lanterns and then I would attack the boss.
That's because if you attack the wrong lantern, then the bosses, then it'll immediately stop. You can't free attack, and the boss will go into a super attack in the second phase.
Yeah, I don't remember any of that. But I definitely don't. Maybe I was. Maybe I did. I wish I had taken notes. Did I take notes? That sounds kind of familiar now that I did it. Oh, man.
It's like, it's...
Wait, okay, hold on.
Dano has to go into his literal bag of notes.
Yeah. Cliffs. Target thing. No. Maybe target thing? Maybe that's what I... Maybe I did know that was happening because they definitely didn't have a super attack. So I must have been doing it right. And I don't think I lucked into it. But I'm gonna assume I did notice that and got it right.
Great.
Because I don't believe the super attack happened.
It's dangerous. It does like 800 to all 3 of the expedition.
Could you dodge it or parry it?
You can dodge it probably. Yeah, you can probably dodge it.
The timing on it is pretty tough, but you can.
I got through it in one go. So
all right.
It's possible that I was slightly over leveled for it still because I ran around and tried to do every single thing I could before I got to this point. So
that would also do it.
So maybe I was just, but I have no idea. What a fun mystery.
What a fun little surprise. So I love this fight a lot. I liked the kind of options that you could do to kill him, because you could also just ignore the lanterns in the second half and just attack the boss if you had enough damage built up. And the only real negative is that he would get access to like this big sword ability, but you can also just ignore it and go full face and finish that fight as well. I liked it a lot. I had a great time with it. Very fun. After the second time you kill the lamp master, we find the rock, Flory. Esquier now successfully has his rock. You might be thinking, is it a magic rock? Doesn't seem like it. Seems like it's literally just a rock that Esquier really likes. And so as a result, it's a great rock, and he now feels that he can swim. Yay, Esquier! So he drops on down and he invites the expedition to kind of jump onto his belly so he can swim across and get to the next location. Lune and Ciel drop down despite Ciel's aversion to water and fear of drowning. Meanwhile, Gustave and Maël stay up so they can throw a few rocks before they leave. Then the music starts. The white-haired man starts walking through a cane. We're unsure exactly where he is, but if you've played any game or know stories, you know exactly where he is. Moving forward, inch by inch, as the scene cuts back and forth, the bass of the music gets steadily faster and faster and louder and louder. Gustave and Maël are talking about which rock to throw and how much they've accomplished. As I scream internally, move, Gustave! Maël, Gustave, just jump down, please! But alas, I cannot hear my pleas. A flash of light blurs across the screen. Gustave's chest bursts open and blood rains down onto his body. Maël quickly turns, but the white-haired man puts her into a bubble and she can't do anything. The white-haired man mentions that he did warn her, but promises that this is better for everyone. Gustave, with a massive hole in his chest, stands up. A brief battle begins between the white-haired man, but it doesn't last long. Gustave fights until his last breath, but eventually falls. Maël, in response, screams and finally breaks the bubble that has been containing her. She goes to attack the white-haired man. When the white-haired man goes to kill Maël, another flash comes across the screen. This time, a sword is blocking the white-haired man's cane. His name is Verso. The two, Verso and the white-haired man, have a discussion that I'll briefly summarize rather than trying to encapsulate the specific dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
They have made some sort of agreement between the two of them. It's not exactly clear what those details are, but it's implied that Verso is not supposed to interfere with the white-haired man's plan, or not supposed to directly go after the paintress, something along those lines. They then talk about how this expedition knows nothing. There is also a mention about who Mael looks like. They both acknowledge that she looks like someone. I would guess, as many people I assume would, that it is the woman who was with the white-haired man earlier in the game, but again, not specified in any way, shape, or form. Verso tells Mael to jump down to Esquier and that he would follow. She does so. The white-haired man leaves them be and walks away. Later that night at camp, we get a lot of lore dump that I'm sure I'm going to miss some of because it kind of depends on when you go to camp versus when you have conversations with people. So we'll see where this lands for your specific playthrough, but this is where it landed for mine. We learn a lot about Verso in this first camp. Verso was part of the first expedition on the island. Something happened while on the island that made him and a few others, the white-haired man, gain immortality from the island. That white-haired man was the leader of the first expedition. It's unclear if anyone else from the first expedition is still alive or not. We also get the white-haired man's name, which I now realize I haven't said because I have forgotten. Do you guys remember his name?
Renoir.
Renoir. Thank you. Renoir doesn't want an expedition to succeed because their immortality is likely a gift from the Paintress. So if an expedition did succeed and kill the Paintress, that would in turn remove his immortality. Verso has decided that he has buried enough expedition members that he is willing to give up his immortality to stop the cycle. Verso also admits that he has gone back to Lumire once before to help the following expeditions. But after he was the only one that came back a second time, they viewed him as a monster, and so in turn, he stopped coming back. He would help here and there, but by and large, undercover. He helped to build the shell around Lumire that actually kept it safe. Additionally, Verso and SK have a long history of friendship. They've both helped the previous expedition many, many times, which brings up the question of, if Verso is immortal, and also has helped the expedition this many times, and Esquier, being one of the most powerful creatures on this island, has done the same, why hasn't one succeeded? This question is asked frequently by a variety of different characters, but is never directly answered. Verso was also able to grab Gustav's arm before he left, but couldn't bring his whole body, unfortunately. His arm also has the Lumina converter, which Lune mentions they need in order to beat the Paintress. With the arm, I believe that it is implied that the Lumina converter is now with us in some way, shape, or form, and Mael is understandably broken. After watching her brother and father, basically the only person in her life that she has been able to trust and love, Gustav, go down, all she wants to do is kill Renoir and the Paintress. Her new resolve is both terrifying and also impressive. From here, we are headed towards Monoco Station, but first, we must cross the Forgotten Battlefield. How did you guys feel about this section? I had so many feelings, but I think I've made those clear, and we should start with someone else before I go on a longer rant. Matt, how about yourself?
Oh boy. There's a lot. It's almost like remember, Dan, you remember Aerith from Final Fantasy VII? It's kind of like that. It's that scene. It's like that. It's very much, Sephiroth stabbing Aerith in the back near the end of the first disc. That's what it is. It's great. It's beautiful. I love it. I also hate it because feelings. Dan, what'd you think?
I thought it was great. I thought it was so well done. I thought it added a bunch of it was just a ton of drama to the story. I thought it was very interesting. I thought it added a lot of depth to Mael. And it was really Gustav was a super interesting character. He was very much flawed. He was not perfect. He was selfish and I like to talk, not necessarily talk a big game, but he didn't always back up his ideals until kind of the end. Like when, he would the game started and he was always talk about how, we're going to go and we're going to just do what we can for those who follow. And then when things went bad, he completely fell apart and then slowly kind of putting himself back together. And then then he found out Mael was alive and then nothing else mattered. The expedition didn't matter. All that mattered was Mael. He's a really interesting character and very believable and very real. And I thought the sacrifice was fantastic. I read it as Gustav who put the bubble around Mael, though, not Renoir. I thought it was, but maybe I got that wrong, though. I'm not entirely certain. I thought he put a bubble around her to get her to run and to protect her. There was a really cool moment where he got like a solid hit on Renoir, and you're like, okay, maybe he's gonna live. And then like Renoir just stands up, and then like, oh, it was very
yeah, it's intense.
Yeah,
the reason that I thought that Renoir put up the bubble is because he's like really shocked when Mael breaks it, and I would have thought that if it was just Gustav's bubble, that would instead be kind of breakable at any point in time rather than a surprise. But it isn't clear, so I could 100% be wrong.
No, yeah, you could be right too. I'm not 100% certain either. So I'm sure someone will tell us in the Discord, and we can report back next week. But then I thought the scenes that followed afterwards were fascinating. The party not trusting Verso, which was completely understandable. Him being very not forthcoming about who he is, his background, why he's there. Like, I'm here to help, but that's all you're going to get out of me. And then just Mael, who was really like the reason they were all going, just falling apart, and then really just lashing out in a way that like is super understandable and believable, especially for like a 16-year-old. She just lashed out and really didn't want, kind of blamed everyone and everything, including herself, for what happened. It was fantastic. It was so well done. It was super interesting. I thought it was really, really well written. This game is incredibly well written.
Yes.
Yeah.
My only hypothetical beef with this scene is I think that killing off characters needs to be done so carefully. And they spent so much time building up Gustav, both his character, his relationship to everybody else, the way that he led, and to kill him off so early, right? Like, this is the end of Act 1. I know that it could have been done in the prologue, but it's 1/3 of the way through the story. I think that a couple of things really need to happen for me to be okay with that killing of that character. Of either, one, Gustav has to come back in some way, shape, or form to show that kind of penalty and in a different way. Or two, provide a choice that is significant of like, yes, you could bring back Gustav, but if you do, you will not be able to kill the Paintress. Like something along those lines to make that final decision more significant. If instead it's just we killed Gustav here and we're not really going to bring it back in any way, shape, or form, I kind of be bummed out by that. Because I don't like it when games feel like emotionally manipulative without a broad plot intended behind it. And right now, I trust the writers, I trust the game to still steer it in that direction. But I'm going to be pretty blunt. If it doesn't come back in a more interesting way, I don't think I'm going to replay this game.
I kind of will push a little bit on that. I do actually think that it already paid off fairly well. I don't need him to come back to feel like it paid off well. I thought the character development was really interesting. I thought it was a kind of a good end for a flawed character who, you know, at the end did stand up for what he believed in, even though like during Act 1, that was pretty hit or miss, whether or not he was that person. And then what I did like a lot, and they didn't pull a Final Fantasy VII. Those of you who remember Final Fantasy VII, she was the best healer, and probably like everyone, you would just have her in the party all the time. And then when she died, it was all gone. There was nothing to replace that. Whereas in this game, it's a 1-for-1 change. Like the weapons are still there at their power level. The Lumina that you spent on Gustav is now on Verso. So you don't feel like you wasted stuff as you spent it. So that I like a lot, where it's like you don't feel like, oh, I wasted all these things buffing these weapons. This was an absolute waste of my resources. It's not a waste of resources because they use the same swords. And so I do like that quite a bit, where you're not punished in game for building up Gustav, which I think is something they definitely could have aired on, and they didn't, which I like a lot.
My
I'd appreciate that.
my main problem plot wise, I'll see if I can kind of reform that in a different way, is I don't know what his death buys the narrative that wasn't already there. Because we already knew that this world was dangerous. We already knew how fragile a lot of this was. And right now, I don't think that his death, like, if he was still alive, I do not think that the narrative would change in any way, shape, or form. I think that we would still be going to the same location, still be doing the same thing. And I want there to be the reason for that death to mean something in the broad plot of, like, the plot could not be the same if he had stayed alive. And so far, we haven't really gotten there yet. It feels almost like a fridging moment of like, yes, we killed him so that way other people would be more inspired. But I want to know what else that bought me.
Yeah, and that really comes down to, like, whose story are we telling? Like, is it, is it Verso's story? Is it Renoir's story? Is it Mael's story? Is it Luna's story? Is it CL's story? Is it SKA's just wild adventure?
God, if only. Give me more SKA.
So, and that's to be determined as the game continues, and I think we're not, like, this week we don't get there.
Yeah, I do believe we are telling Mael's story. That's my guess at this point of the game, was that we are telling Mael's story. Though I did find it interesting that the point of view we get during Act 1 is Gustav. He is our kind of like point of reference, like the character who is the we in the game, and he's the only male character. Yeah. And then we move on to Act 2, and the only male character is Verso, and then also again the character we are kind of playing as when we are in camp. So I did find that very interesting that we just I was like, oh, like of the characters, there's 3 women, 1 male, and then construct, which we'll get to a little bit later here.
An SKA.
Sorry,
you meant
2 constructs, right? Yeah. And so it's like I did kind of find that a little bit at first. I kind of found that a little bit jarring and like strange. I was like, why are we not getting to Mael's perspective? Though we do to a certain extent because she takes over the writing of the journal, and then there's 2 different you can talk to different characters in camp as Gustav or Verso, and then have conversations, and then go have like other conversations to increase your relationship with them. But then there is when you're at the campfire, there is also an option for you to go as Mael to also have different like scenes as well. So like she's kind of like
see what other people are doing.
Yeah. You can?
So if you do,
so
there's the 4 options, right? At the campfire.
Yeah. So
the top option, which is like checking on the others is kind of like Mael going off and doing stuff.
Oh, okay. I see. I think I got you now.
It's not always Mael, but it's like 90% Mael. So
yeah, it's usually a scene that does not contain Verso.
Yeah. I had a Lune and CL scene that was very, very good.
Really good scene with her. I just had a scene with Verso and Mael that was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
So. And all those are the friendship level scenes where it's like you are now raising your relationship with those characters. It's great. This game's good.
It is good. Hey, Matt, talk about the Forgotten Battlefield now that we're
all right. So so now that SKA can swim for this time, we can now make our way north on water to the Forgotten Battlefield. And as we enter the Forgotten Battlefield, we take a look around. It's basically a war scene. Bodies and ships and old cannons from like the 18th century just laying around. Verso says we'll get used to all the bodies laying around, because there's a ton of them. Mael is stopping and wanting to bury Gustav. She's holding his arm. Well, not Gustav, just his arm, because couldn't get the rest of him. Verso knows a nice spot, but I have to go through the battlefield first. We get attacked by a Chalier, and you learn about gradient counters. They happen when time slows down, and there's a kind of like a black and white, brownish effect that surrounds the enemy. And there's a new button you have to hit to counter those. And I don't think you can dodge these. I haven't been able to dodge these.
You can only gradient counter.
Okay. They also, when it hits, you do a ton of damage back. It's kind of great. We continue into the battlefield, fighting a bunch of Nevrons. Finding a bunch of Nevrons that can fight. There's a whole bunch of different little boss guys around. There's these guys that throw hands at you, and they're awful. It's basically a field of dead expeditions, which were apparently killed by a single Nevron, but Verso says that he hasn't seen that one in years.
Probably not going to see him again, right? Right?
No, we'll never see him again. He doesn't exist anymore, right? So we explore a bunch, we loot a bunch, eventually make our way to a bridge. The party starts chatting about, wow, looks like we made it past the danger zone. We haven't seen a Nevron that Verso is talking about. Totally normal, totally not setting up something to go terribly wrong, as you do. We go through the gate and walk onto the bridge, and Mael starts to have a bit of a breakdown. All the death starts getting to her. She starts yelling at CL and others, and the party starts to console her and reminds her of the expedition's purpose of, we must always move forward, for those who come after. We're shown a Nevron who then makes a massive jump, destroys the bridge in one stroke. The party falls below and land in a pit of blood and death. Verso stands up against this Nevron as Luna heals Mael. The music swell, and it's boss fighting time. And this boss is the duelist. Is the duelist, basically, right? The duelist.
Yeah, duelist. Yeah, I'm sure it's a French way to say it. I don't know what it is, so.
Yeah. And this boss is insane. There's a lot of just combo dodging or countering you have to do to survive this. And you think you got the first one down and you did pretty good. Oh wait, there's a phase 2. So we have to kill that. The music in this boss fight is absolutely incredible. Like, this boss is just, it's absolutely,
it's so good.
It is incredible. It was honestly the hardest boss fight I think we've had so far. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I would disagree with that a little bit. I think actually earlier in Act 1 there was some tougher stuff, but that's more because we didn't have tools. All of a sudden, like, at this point, my build started to lock in, and so a lot of things become much easier for me.
Okay.
Yeah, especially and if you're doing a lot of the optional stuff too, at the chromatics. I think the chromatics are more difficult than this as well, but those are optional, so they're kind of designed to be more difficult. But as far as like a required boss, I'd say the difficulty level is pretty good. It's a ton of fun too. It's like so much going on. Like, it does crazy combo attacks, and they're just so much fun to parry. When you get the parries and dodges right, you feel like you're just so good at the game. It's really well done. And then just like the environment is so, like, talk about the beginning of the zone, and then we fall into this. I mean, we're literally just surrounded by dead expeditioners. It is like visceral. It is really good. The environment's great. The music's great. When like the first phase ends, he has a single sword, and the second phase begins, and he grabs the dark sword. And then when the fight ends, like, the dark sword like goes and sticks into the ground, and you get to take it, and it becomes your weapon afterwards. Super cool. Really cool.
I think the biggest problem I had was the fact that, like, usually when you have to parry, you do like parry, 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 or parry, dodge, or parry, 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 parry. This one is parry, parry, jump, parry, parry, chromatic, like the radiant parry, jump, or something. It's nuts. It was nuts.
There's a lot of attacks.
Yeah.
That
does become more common, so buckle up.
Ooh, I'm struggling. After we beat phase 2, there's an amazing cutscene, by the way, in the battle screen, where it shows all 4 members of the expedition just taking a slice at the boss, killing it. It was a big heck yeah moment, but I didn't use the word heck. And then after that cutscene ends, you get the battle clear screen, and Verso remarks, I guess he wasn't that strong. You learn fast.
Really
you learn fast.
It made me laugh out loud. This is
Go
the
ahead.
beginning of. So this is the beginning of the game being like, this whole time we've been talking about how there are so many other expeditions and what makes you special, right? Like, why would this one be the one the video game should be about? And this is kind of the beginning of, these are special expeditioners. So this is like, this, the duelist has destroyed, multiple expeditions and I can't kill it. And this thing is crazy powerful. And then we go and we just like smoke it, right? And he's like, oh, okay. Like, as we go through the game, like, keep an eye out for this. Like, the game does a really good job of kind of trying to subtly tell you that that these expeditions are different. They are better. They are more powerful, which I absolutely love, because we're number 77 essentially, right? So why would this one be successful except for that we're playing it? And the game actually tries to kind of nod at that. Like, this is a special group of people. And I do like that a whole lot. And this is that first moment where, with now having Verso in the party, having that historical knowledge of trial and failure, the game starts to be like, okay, yeah, you're not just running, you're powerful, which I think is super cool.
Yeah. It even comes into play in the next section too, which is even great. So Lune reminds Mael that this is what they're fighting for as they look at all the death and destruction around them, make their way up into the grove, and then place Gustav's arm into a pile of red and white petals. There are stakes in the ground around that area with armbands of Expedition Zero marking their graves. Everybody kind of does say some words in honor of Gustav, saying we'll see him in the next life, we'll finish what we started. Everyone's trying not to cry. It's absolutely beautiful. We make our way out of the zone and go to camp. Verso talks about the journey ahead, trying to recruit Monoco, trying to destroy the painter's heart in Lumine, and we don't know what it looks like because Verso hasn't been there. He hasn't made it through. Verso talks about his travels with other expeditions, how he found Old Lumire in Expedition 58. Mael listens, but takes a good long look at Verso. In camp, Lune, Eske, and CL all have scenes with Verso. Eske says the funeral was sad. I think there's some scenes with Mael and Lune on their own as well. It really depends on the relationships with there. Eske offers you a hug, and it is the greatest thing in the world.
It's so cute. It's so cute. Eski, I just want to hug him. He seems like such a good hugger. It's so beautifully, like, simple and kind. And it's like one of those moments of fiction where a creature doesn't fully understand how much that means to others, but he knows that it helps. And so he's happy to do it. And it got me. This is one of the scenes that broke me, was the hug.
It's good.
I think this entire scene was really cool because Verso leads up to his goals. I have a special place out of sight from the paintress, which I thought was really important and special, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That I think will be special and I want to show you. And so Verso deliberately guides Mael here, to bury, what's left of Gustav, Gustav's arm, what they were able to take with them and put him at rest. And then we get there and then it shows, look at all these people that Verso has either buried himself or taken here, right? And there's a moment where he goes off on his own to visit members of his own expedition, Expedition Zero. It was really cool. Again, really well done, really well written, really well, like the environment was perfect. It's gonna be tough to follow up this game for this studio. How do you do Expedition 33?
Really, really good.
Like, I don't know what you do.
Expedition 34?
They all died already.
Actually, I was thinking about that today when I was in the shower. It's like, would they do an Expedition Zero game?
Oh, kind of like Lufia 2 from back in the 90s?
Yeah.
Where like the first Lufia was the first game and Lufia 2 was like 1,000 years in the past telling the initial story.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Lufia 2 was a fantastic game, by the way. Love that game.
All right. So we head out to the world map and enter a camp and make our way to Monoco Station.
I get to talk about Monoco Station. Oh, did you want to say something, Stormrage? Sorry, yes.
I did, because there's one thing that we've touched on, but I want to really highlight as something that I appreciated about this zone. Up until this point, we have seen likely probably a couple hundred of the former expeditioners as their bodies in various places. But it's probably been in like chunks of dozens by and large. And when we get to this area, it's no longer dozens. It is hundreds. It is maybe thousands. And it hits so home when we drop into the kind of Duelista's cave, and the cave itself is literally running red with former expeditioners' blood, and has probably 1,000 skulls in it, and the sheer armies that expeditioners used to have, and still failing to do their job, really hit home starting in this section. And I imagine as we get closer and closer, we'll see more and more and more of this. But the story aspect of like Mael kind of breaking down and being like, I don't care about any of this. I just want to bury Gustav. Why do I keep going? Why do we keep going? This is too much. And then Lune, while at the end of the fight, looks around at all the dead bodies and looks at Mael and goes, this is why we continue. So we can put a stop to this. And it was such a well-designed moment of, let me show you how terrifying this world is, and then let me tell you to the 16-year-old girl who's struggling with the death of the one person that she's trusted most in this world, this is the consequences of our actions. And I thought it was just incredibly well done.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nothing to add to that. So we're heading now to Monoco Station. We get there. Guarding the entrance to Monoco Station is a creature called a Grandis. I use the term guarding lightly because he doesn't try to stop us from entering. Instead, he just talks to us about how he loves to be a guard because it gives him time to be alone and to contemplate the life and the universe and to really be alone with his thoughts. Like,
I love these Grandies.
This is fantastic. I love these guys a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not like, this is a huge imposing creature, like monstrous looking creature. And you go up to it and it's like, I just like being a guard because I get to be alone with me, you know?
It's like a big rock. They're big rock monsters. That's what they are. They're rock monsters.
Yeah.
And they're amazing.
So I think it's as good time to talk about the Grandies. They are creatures that existed before the fracture, but lived up high in the mountains in tribes of their own. Before the fracture, the tribes would meet up every 4 years for the Oratory Games, which was a competition between tribes where they would have poetry battles. But the fracture destroyed so many of them that they are no longer able to have the games. Most of them have moved down from the mountains because of the dangerous Nevron. They are not fighters, but are learning to fight to defend themselves. They are very large creatures that look scary, but are actually quite gentle. There is also a merchant here that will sell the ladies only white uniforms. They're called pure uniforms. And so if you've completed certain quests, you can buy the pure uniforms for the female members of the party. And he says that he is a fashion designer, and it's a fantastic little scene. So
I love it so much. I loved all of those moments.
Yeah. So we enter Monoco Station, and it is a literal train station, but a train station that got all weird, like all the trains and train tracks just kind of wind up into the air. It's strange, but the strange that we've become used to in Expedition 33. We continue to make our way through the station, and Verso seems concerned that he hasn't seen Monoco yet when we are attacked by a Gestural wielding a staff and wearing a cloak. Verso blocks the attack and starts giving the Gestural grief for being so slow that Esquier flies down and says, Momo! The Gestural looks at Esquier and asks if Verso has pulled him into another adventure. At this point, it becomes clear that we have found Monoco. Lune is surprised that Monoco can speak their language, something none of the other Gestrals can seem to do. Verso explains that they spent a lot of time together, so Verso taught him how to speak. Monoco challenges them to a duel after accidentally bonking himself on the head with the bell on his staff, and Verso says he probably need to have a relaxing fight with Monoco to calm him down. During the fight, Monoco transforms into a Neveron and uses Neveron abilities, so that is super cool and a tad surprising. The end of the fight, Noko runs up screaming about a Neveron. Monoco says, "Not now, son. I'm busy beating up strangers." Ooh, son, you say? And then we head to the entrance to see what is going on. What is going on is a Stalact is attacking the station, and Monoco appears to be afraid of these things. So he, quote, challenges, unquote, us to defeat it. Also, Noko is Monoco's son, and it's fantastic, and it's super cute and adorable, and I love it so much. We kill the Stalact, and Monoco steals its foot. Yes, it's like literal foot. Like he goes digging and steals its foot. Because apparently he can use the foot of Neveron to use their abilities. Does it seem weird to you? It gets weirder because in camp later, you will go and he will be polishing the feet. And the whole group helps him polish the feet. It's fantastic. He says, "I don't have to polish them, but what would you do if someone was wielding a foot at you and then turns into your friend?" It's surprise and danger all wrapped up into one. So he steals his foot because he can use the foot of a Neveron to use his abilities. And that's correct. Monoco is basically a blue mage from the Final Fantasy games. I am so excited about this. I absolutely love blue mages in the Final Fantasy games. There's more to his toolkit. Like he has a wheel of randomness that spins and lands on different types of abilities, and each of his abilities that he steals from Neverons has he's either a heavy attack or a balance attack, and you get bonuses just like you do with the other characters. So there's a lot more to it, but basically instead of opening stuff up by gaining experience, he opens up by, I think he has to be in your party. He's just always been in my party because I love him so much.
No, I don't think he does.
Okay.
I don't think he does.
As you kill stuff, you get their feet, and then he gets to use that ability. It's a ton of fun to use and everything. So what makes this even more fun is it gives further proof that my hypothesis is correct, that Expedition 33 is what if Final Fantasy kept on iterating on what made Final Fantasy games good. During the fight, we are introduced to a new type of attack called the Gradient Attack. Each AP the team uses fills the gradient gauge, and when it fills up, we get to use a super powerful gradient attack. Cool, love that. After the fight, Monoco wants to know why Verso is visiting. When Verso tells Monoco that they are heading to Old Lumire, Monoco nopes out and starts to walk the other way. Verso stops him and says, "Hey, I know we have failed before, but look, you doofus, don't you recognize her?" Monoco says, of course he does. You probably want to know which her Verso is referring to, but too bad, because he points in the general direction where all three women are talking to Noko. After reminding Monoco that there will be lots of fighting, Monoco changes his mind. Noko tells us that he is coming along as well because surely there'll be need of a great merchant in Old Lumire.
To confirm from Torby in chat, Monoco has to be in your party in order to get that foot.
Okay, good. That was my basic assumption. I thought they might have even said that at some point. I've just been rolling with him because I love a blue mage, and so he's just part of my party now. But yeah, so I love going and fighting everything I can. I backtracked to make sure I could get all the old abilities from earlier in Act 1, and I spent a bunch of time tracking out every creature I could find to get as many abilities as I can. So, anything to add about this section?
I love that they've continued to build what this old world looked like and the different creatures that inhabit it. Because at first it felt like it was very much the humans in Lumire plus Nevrons that were created by the Paintress. Then we added in the Gestrals, and I was like, okay, so these are the three kind of races, for lack of a better term. And then all of a sudden we add in these Grandies. And it just keeps building and showing the impact that the Paintress and that the Fracture have had upon so many different people. And I love it. I think that this section is excellent. Also, fun fact, if you're an idiot like me, and you don't pay attention to where they tell you to go, and you go out the wrong way on Monoco's station, the first thing is a Grandis that says, "Hey, are you looking for this thing?" And I said, "Yes." And he went, "You're in the wrong zone. Go back and go this direction." I was like, "Thank you. Thank you very much." I'm glad that it didn't like lock it out, but instead was like, "This is not where you mean to go, just as a heads up."
There's if you go that way and talk to the guy at the exit, he's like, "Hey, it's pretty rough out there. You sure you want to go up to the mountains?" And I was like,
Yep.
"I don't."
Actually, no. Thank you. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, old friend. Let's meet for tea after the match, shall we?
Slurp, slurp, slurp.
Hey, Matt, what'd you do in Expedition 33?
Kind of stuck along the main story, but I did find a white troubadour that wanted to play its trumpet, but didn't want to hurt people, and I had to learn how to dodge the red balls and allow the green balls to hit me. Took me a while to actually figure that part out. I'm buying hairstyles from every Gestrel I can possibly find, because I just love collecting hairstyles and clothes and, equipping them in hilarious ways and wonderful ways, actually. I got the whole white expedition outfits, like from that one from a Grandis, and it was great. Loved it. This game is beautiful. Storm Rage, what'd you do?
I haven't done much outside of the main quest. Not out of a lacking desire to do the side content, or even because I think the side content is bad. In fact, I think it's just because the main content is so good that I just want to keep exploring what this story is, because it's clear that we are at the tip of the iceberg of understanding what this world is, what the first expedition genuinely went through, and what is going on with the Paintress. And all I want to know is peeling more of that glacier back until we get the bit more of the full story. And so it's been a blast. I also now have a full fire squad. So Lune has an AoE fire, and then Mael has a massive fire attack that does just a bunch of burn, so all of my enemies are always burning and on fire. And then Lune takes those fire stains and then turns it into an AoE heal. So every turn, my enemies are getting chunked down for more and more burn while I am healing up more and more. So as long as I don't go against like a single boss that can do immediate kill attacks, I'm feeling pretty confident about my build so far. And then I also am running Sael because just mostly different damage type. And I haven't really found a combo or a build flow for her that is more unique than play Foretell, consume Foretell, go Twilight, deal damage. So I'm kind of waiting to see until I get a few more skills to do something a little more interesting with her, but she's really powerful and I'm having a lot of fun. And I haven't used Verso once because he's not Gustav, and I refuse. If you're going to try to throw another person in that looks exactly like Gustav, not a chance. Not a chance am I going to give him a single moment in my party. He can sit on the bench. Monoco I will eventually use, but I will absolutely not use Verso unless the game physically forces me to.
So the party I think I'm going to run with is Monoco, Lune, and Mael. I've been pretty fluid with my party to keep everyone basically the same level, but since Monoco needs to be in your party and I love blue mages, I'm basically maining him at this point to make sure I don't miss anything. And then both Lune and Mael are just crazy powerful. Like, they just hit like absolute trucks. And so like Mael basically, so I use her weapon that starts her off in what mode is that? The Virtuoso mode. And then I do the attack that, if you're in Virtuoso mode, you do like a big attack. It only costs like 3 or 2 or something
2
like
AP.
that. And
2 AP,
and then it does 9,999 to every enemy. So I just lead with dealing 10,000 damage, essentially. She's the first character that hits, and she's like a truck. Monoco is just super fun because I'm always changing up his build, trying to figure out what works whenever I get a new ability, and I'm almost always getting new abilities with him, so it's a ton of fun. And he has some really good, fun AoE attacks, some heals. He does helps the rest of the party gain AP in a really good way, so my party's never out of AP. And then Lune with her weapon that always gives her 2 stains if she doesn't have any stain. So I'm almost always between 2 and 4 stain and doing just crazy damage with that as well. So I just basically am like doing as simple as possible to just deal a ton of damage.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. I'm keeping it simple.
Yeah.
I found a blacksmith, like a hidden blacksmith where they had a bunch of weapons to buy. And so I spent all my money that I had left on buying weapons after spending basically all my money on hairstyles and outfits that I don't really use, but I want them anyways. So I ran out of money and I was like, oh crud. So I'm like, I have no money left at all. I didn't feel at all bad about it. I found
buying hairstyles is the best.
It's so much fun. I found 2 more manor doors. So I found 2 of the locked doors into the manor. So there's different ways to get into them from the continent. And when you go in there, you get like special pictos or weapons and that kind of stuff. And you enter in through the door, and then that door disappears. And then you go around and you search the room that you're in. And so there's a fancy bathroom and a library. And then as you go exit out, it exits into the manor. And then you exit out the main door and it takes you back to where you were. It's super cool.
Yep.
Yeah. It's awesome.
I think I found the kitchen at one point. Or it might have been the kitchen. I don't know.
I found the bathroom and the library so far. I cleared out 2 more gestural beaches. And these are like the fun mini games that give you the swimsuits. And so one of them was atrocious. That would be the beach ball game. And this was so hard. So it was three different levels. And you had hit points and they had hit points. And your hit points were 5. And if they would throw something at you and you had to parry it. If you parry it back to them, and then you deal damage to them. The first 2 is super easy, or they're mildly easy. And the last one was impossible because it puts you super close. And then also had like a pretty large area for you to run around on. And I had to eventually turn all the sound off except for the noise of the ball being thrown at you. And it took me probably an hour and a half, 2 hours to clear it. It was brutal. It was absolutely brutal. I was so frustrated by the end. I was like, this is the absolute worst. And then I found the third one, which was a vertical parkour zone. And that was amazing. So much fun. By the time it kept on going up and up and up and up. And it was just, you would like jump off. It was almost like a Bennett Foddy game where like you would fall off and then you would like try to like get yourself to fall on one of the levels below you so you could keep on going up. And so by the time I was getting close to the top, my hands were literally sweating so hard I had to stop and like wipe on my pants. It was so much fun. You get to the top and the gestuals that get to the top are so proud of themselves they never leave the top. And so you get up there and they're like 10 gestuals just like dancing around. They're all painted and dancing and they're like, welcome, more friends. It is so awesome. And then you talk to the person at the top and he's like, congratulations, here is your reward. Do you know what your reward is? It is an outfit for Monoco. That is a red Speedo and a life ring and a whistle that goes around his neck. It is so good. So I never have to get anything from him ever again because it's perfect.
Yeah, you're done. You're good.
I also got a top hat for him. So he runs out with a top hat and he has a drawn on mustache onto his plank. So there's a top hat, drawn on mustache, the life ring, the whistle, and then the red Speedo. He's always leading the party because it's so good. Found a super cool area called the Crushing Caverns where you have 3 or 5 turns to kill the boss. And then you get smushed by walls that are coming in. And there is after you complete it, you get to the top of the other side and there's a warning from somebody else. Don't go in. There's Neveron that's going to crush you below. Accidentally went back to Stonewall Cliffs and got the Gustav record, which means I think I love Gustav the most because I have the Gustav record to use at camp. So deal with it.
That's mean. What you just did was mean.
Went to the Stonewall Cliffs and killed the Chromatic Hexaga, which was super fun. Helped the Trumpeter White Neveron, which Matt did as well. Super duper fun. That's the green ball, red ball. That took a little bit longer than I thought it should have, but
Yeah.
Whenever you made a mistake, then you would take damage, and it was great. Have you guys got to the part where Verso tries to cheer everybody up? So
Yes.
Verso and Monoco are chatting, and Verso is like, they're all sad. It's like, oh, I know what to do to cheer him up. They're like, you're not gonna do that, are you? And he's like, I'm gonna do that. And then you hear just this shink, and then he go, oh, and then the three of them are sitting around the three like members of the party who missed Gustav are sitting around the fire, and then you just see Gustav like walk up on his hands, but having nothing below his torso, and he starts talking
Verso.
to them. Sorry, Verso. And then behind him is like his legs that can also talk. So both his legs and his torso can talk. And they're like, this is absolutely crazy because he can't die. Like, does it hurt? He goes, so much. It hurts so much. And like, so have you used this for anything? He goes, oh yeah, we used to use this for scouting. I would send my legs off to scout and then tell them what's coming up. I also helped the Portier White Neveron, but I don't remember what that one was exactly. But I did that as well. So, bunch of stuff. It was super fun. The side stuff is almost as good as the main content stuff in this game.
Taste my grilled cheese.
Munch, munch, munch.
What's our first good, Matt?
Monoco and Verso are just the broiest of bros, and possibly the best way. Like they just love it. They're just great. They love each other. It's amazing. What's the not so good?
It's the gestural beach battle. It was just a huge giant miss. It is super clunky. It's hard to move around. Like you will, it doesn't make a ton of sense how you're supposed to move. You'll hit forward and turn to the left. It was. I would say it's the only thing in this game so far that I played where I feel like it was poorly done. It was really, really hard and really awful, and I should have skipped it, but I'm stubborn, and so instead I just banged my head against a wall for 2 hours before getting it. But yeah, I was cranky after that. What's our best good?
So I have two. One we've already talked about is the delivery in how Verso gets Monoco on board is so good. And I will not do it justice, but I will do my best. So Verso, what are you doing here? Why have you brought the expeditioners? Well, we're gonna go take on the Paintress. Nope. Nope. I will not be a part of it. Okay, well, there will be a lot of fighting. Okay, yeah, I'll go. And just like the simplicity of the definitive not a chance to, yeah, I'm on board, was so perfect. And then additionally, just the whole end of Act 1 was beautiful and amazing, and I hated every moment. And again, as long as it pays off in some significant way, I'm fully on board with Heartbreak. I just want to make sure that it's more than just heartbreak at that moment.
Yeah, Mael has a great line to that. It's like, yep, use a gestural.
Yep.
He asks each traveler 5 questions. 3 questions. 3 questions.
3, that's a magic number.
I will ask myself 3 questions.
Matt, what are you liking so far?
The duelist fight. It's just so good. It's just really good. And if I was better at dodging and parrying, this fight would probably be a cakewalk, but I'm not. But it was still very, very good. Storm Rage, what are you liking so far?
The number of really good boss fights, because I feel like boss fights in a lot of JRPGs are just, well, this dude has a lot more health, figure out how to deal more damage over a longer period of time, and that has not been the case once so far, and I keep thinking, well, this next boss fight will be pretty simple, this next boss fight will be pretty easy, and then each time it's like, nope, here's another really interesting mechanic, and I am absolutely fascinated each and every time. Dano, how about yourself?
I love camp. Camp is absolutely fantastic. I love the different conversations we have with your party members. So after like each big story beat, you go back and they change what they're talking about. And then you have times where you can sit to get to know them better. And they're actually very interesting. And you can gain abilities the more you talk to them and as they kind of learn more about each other. But then also like the moments with Mael going and writing in the journal or going to the curator to upgrade your stuff. And the camp seems it's not just like a small little camp. It's a kind of a larger area. And so it has a lot of like flavor to it. You can change the music if you find more records. I think it's fantastic. I really enjoy the camping part of the game. What are you struggling with, Matt?
The duelist fight. It was so hard for me. I just struggled. I think I did the fight 8 times before I finally beat it. It took me at least eight solid attempts to make it work.
Interesting. This is one I did in 1. So I think it's interesting that the difference between the number of parries or dodges relating to the difficulty that we've had in that fight.
Yeah, around attempt 4, it was all dodge. It was just all dodge at that point. I was not trying to parry.
No, I didn't try to parry this dude. He attacks too many times.
Yes, exactly.
The nice part about the jumps is the jumps are an easy counter, right? When you get the jump and then you can trigger real easily. So that's an easy way to get damage in when you're dodging everything else. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah, but it was like dodge, jump, attack, radiant, parry. Like I think that was the sequence that like really kept on getting me and like just destroying me every time. So
a helpful hint for this week: Max Roll has boss guides. Don't be ashamed to go and use them.
Okay.
I will be. I refuse, and I will find it out on my own. There is nothing you can do to convince me otherwise, Dano.
Sure.
All right, Stormrage, we know what you're struggling with next week. What are you struggling with this week?
I just want Gustav back. Just give me Gustav back. Just please, 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 give me Gustav back. That's all I want. I love Gustav. Give me. I want Gustav. Dano, what are you struggling with?
So I'm bad at the gradient counters. And here's a hint for this week. Gradient counters, you don't counter gradient counters when it turns black and white. You still use the attack trigger. It goes black and white to let you know you have to use a gradient counter. So just because it turns black and white doesn't mean you gradient counter. You have to wait until the attack, like when the moment they come down to the attack, that's when you gradient counter. It turns black and white to let you know. Thanks, Max Roll. That helped. What surprised you about the game, Matt?
The fact that I was able to finally defeat the duelist fight with nobody getting knocked out the last time around. Like, I just locked in on that last one, and like I took damage. There was damage taken, but nobody got knocked out in both phases. It just was such a great accomplishment. It just felt so good. Stormrage, what surprised you?
This game just refuses to pull its punches. At every step, it's like, what is the thing that we could do that'll hurt people the most? And it's this thing, let's do that thing. And there's no way this game ends on a positive note. There's no way this game ends with everybody being happy, the painters being dead, and everybody feeling good about things. That's just not the story this game is going to tell. And I am terrified of the ending of Act 2, the ending of Act 3, if it's not the actual end of the game. I am terrified for every punch that this game is going to throw at me, because I know that it is going to rip my heart out and stomp on it. Dano, what about you?
Monoco is a blue mage. I had no idea that was coming. I did not expect that to come. I love a good blue mage. They're so few and far between in games. Final Fantasy VI has 2 of them. They're very different kinds. So Strego is an actual blue mage, and you have Gaw, which then he gets to use his rage ability, which uses so this is kind of like a combination of the two, where it's abilities of monsters, but you get to actively use them. Super cool. I love a good blue mage. I'm super excited that this game has a good blue mage and how much character that blue mage has. It is awesome. I was shocked and I fell in love immediately.
You want to buy some death sticks?
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death sticks.
You want to go home and rethink your life.
I want to go home and rethink my life.
Sell the game to a friend, Stormrage.
Bring back Gustav, you cowards.
Matt?
It's a fashion simulator with amazing boss fights.
And for me, it's a good modern Final Fantasy game. Next week, we eat a baguette, wear a beret, and become mimes in Clair Obscur Expedition 33. That's it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks to all our patrons and Twitch subs for patronizing us. You can find links to our Discord and our content information in the link tree in the description of this episode.
And Clair Obscur is a game, and games are supposed to be fun.
Yeah! And don't forget, when one falls, we get really sad about it for a very, very long time because Gustav wasn't supposed to die. Baby.
But we continue.
We continue indeed.
How are we going to play Final Fantasy VI after this?
It's a good game. It's just different.
It's a good... Yeah.
I think with all of the older games, there's just going to be chunks of, well, this isn't great. Like, the stories can still be interesting. There's still a lot of, like, very fun core mechanics. But anything that was, like, before 2010... all of those games have a section of the game that's like, this section of game is hard because games need to be hard, not because they actually assist the story. And then, like, JRPGs, it was, well, this section of the game, you gotta grind because grinding is a part of gaming. And I'm very glad that, by and large, that doesn't exist as frequently as it did.
Yeah, one thing about Final Fantasy VI, throughout most of the game, the characters are very distinct. They have very interesting, distinct abilities. It just happens as you get towards the end of the game, it kind of just becomes get the Ultima spell. But up until that point, which is almost the entire game, the characters all feel very distinct and interesting. So, and there are a lot of them, and they all have very interesting stories. So, I think Final Fantasy will be fine. What I really am not looking forward to, the only thing I'm not looking forward to that game is random encounters. I don't like random encounters.
Yep.
Can't stand them. They're actively bad. And that's just a random encounter game. So, but it's not a difficult game. So it's not like the random encounters are bad necessarily. It's just they exist. So,
yeah.
Yeah, Torby, retro breath of fresh air indeed.
I'm terrified of this game. This game terrifies me.
I don't think.
Wait! One last thing before we end. Monoco's boss fight music is my favorite in the entire game so far. I don't know how we didn't talk about it more, but Monoco, it's like a funky beat out of nowhere.
Yes.
It's incredible, and I loved it so much. And I can't believe I didn't make that my best good.
Yeah, shockingly out of nowhere. It was just fantastic. Yeah. And Torby does put a good point in chat. You can turn off the random encounters in the Pixel remasters. The bummer is then you get underleveled.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of be smart about when you're turning them on and off and that kind of stuff. But I think both Final Fantasy 6 and 9 you can turn off the random encounters, which is helpful.
I don't think you can in 9.
The version I have of 9 you can. Because I remember doing that.
Okay.
Yeah. I had something to say, but I forgot what it was. So let's go ahead and end it here. Thank you all so much, and we'll talk at you again next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.